Hi everyone. Today I'm gonna record myself relearning Blender and explaining everything as best as I can. Okay, so when you start Blender, this splash screen, this square in the middle of the screen with shit on it is gonna pop up and it's gonna say 3.4.1. It says that for me because that's the version I'm using right now. I just updated it like today. So there's probably some new features in 3.4 that I don't know about. There's always new features, and that's cool. I don't really use many of the new features because all of it is for like simulations or like hair, uh, vertex painting, and like I don't really use any of that. Uh, okay, anyway, click off of that and it goes away. Uh, your camera won't look like this, the yellow outline, but everything else should look the same. Default cube, just sitting there. Uh, Light bulb and or point light and camera for rendering. Uh, First things first, I'm going to move the camera and the lights into a new collection called L and C, as in lights and camera. And then I'm going to uncheck this collection, and then those are hidden. They still exist, but they are hidden. Uh, I can do it with the cube too by clicking the eyeball. And here's L and C, and if I check it, they come back. Um, but we don't need those right now. All right, now I'm going to go through some settings and add-ons that I change. I've set everything to defaults. All right, so an interface. I think I changed something in here, but I'm not sure. Uh, I'm not sure. Yeah, okay. I don't think I actually do change. I don't change any of that shit. The viewport. Okay, I don't change anything in the viewport. Lights, editing, animation, add-ons. Okay, so in the add-ons thing, it's really useful because yeah, you can all these are all the built-in free add-ons. There's a lot of shit that you could get some use out of, like ArchiMesh, which is an architecture modeling add-on, and Landscape, which you can use to make landscapes. Like with random noise, you can make landscapes with this. And there's lots of different options, like changing the seed and shit like that for the randomization. And yeah, anyway. Okay, so I'm only going to turn on a few extra add-ons. Bowl tool. Uh, oh, I spelled it. Damn it. Loop tools. And I'll explain these in a minute. And that's all. Input. Emulate 3-button mouse. I am not going to use this because I am using a tablet right now. Like, this mouse is actually me moving my pin around over my tablet. Um, I also don't need I don't need emulate 3-button mouse because this already has 3 buttons. There's 2 buttons on the side of the pin, and then there's clicking, clicking, like left clicking, which is just clicking the pin. Uh, Navigation, zoom to mouse position. That's I always do zoom to mouse position because that means when you zoom in, it will zoom to where you're zoom in or out. It will go in and out according to where your mouse is. And yeah, key map, select with left mouse button. That's how I leave it. You can change it to right if you want to, because that's how Blender used to work, was selecting with the right button. But I just leave it on left. Spacebar action, I changed this to search because using spacebar to search for the search all commands menu is very, very useful, and I use that way more often than like playing animations. I don't usually really make animations because I'm just trying to learn like basic modeling fundamentals right now. Uh, and yeah, I'll, tab for pie menu is another one that I turn on. And under system, I changed it to CUDA. Uh, I haven't really. I don't really. It looks like only CUDA and optics work for me with my graphics card. I'm not sure what the difference is, um, but this makes it so that you're using your graphics card with this program. And yeah, save mode. Okay, I could have sworn there were more options I could change, or that I do change. Well, okay. I think that might be everything. That was just me saving my preferences. Uh, okay, so the most important controls for you to learn in any 3D application are the viewport navigation controls. Okay. Uh, uh, in this program in Blender, viewport navigation is all about the middle mouse button. For me, the middle mouse button is the bottom button on my pen. And I do this. Middle mouse button rotates. And okay, actually, this is definitely a there's definitely like a orbit around selection. Here we go. Okay, I have that on because now it'll always orbit around what you have selected. And if you deselect, it will just orbit around the last thing that was selected. Yeah. Okay. And shift and middle mouse button pans. Obviously, this is very important. Control and middle mouse button zooms. So let's say I zoom into this. Sorry, too close. And then I go over here with shift and middle mouse button, shift and middle mouse button, and control and middle mouse button. And yeah, I would recommend just like fucking around with this. Like just like practicing middle mouse button, shift middle mouse button, control middle mouse button. I would recommend just practicing with that as like a lot, or not a lot, but like for a minute, just go way over here and then see what happens when you come back or whatever, or, do whatever the fuck you want to do. And if you don't want to do that, I don't give a shit. That's cool. Do what you want to do. Okay. And next, I'm gonna teach you some more hotkeys. Like if you left click this, you select it. It shows in the outliner, or whatever this is called. Yeah, it actually is called the outliner. Okay, and the cube is in the default collection, and this is the default cube. If I hit X and then click on delete, if I hit X and then click on delete, or hit X and X, oh, that doesn't work. If I hit X and click on delete, it'll delete that. It's completely gone. The outliner doesn't show it anymore. If you hit Shift A to bring up the add menu, you can go into mesh, which means a 3D model made of polygons. And oh, okay, one more add-on I meant to turn on. I knew I forgot something. One more add-on I want to turn on is, oh god, why the fuck does it keep doing that? Okay. Okay, and I'm using middle mouse to like scroll right now. Just holding it down. Add mesh extra objects. Yes. Okay. And then I'm going to go down here and hit this and hit save preferences again, just to make sure it saves that. All right, and now I'm going to hit Shift A to go to the add menu. And under mesh, there is this thing called a round cube. And
And if you change the radius to 1.0, it creates a round cube, or in other words, a quad sphere. The reason I call it quad sphere is because a four-sided polygon is a quad or a quadrilateral, but we call it a quad in 3D shit. This is a quad, this is a quad. These are all quads. And this is how you get a sphere made of quads. Quads are much better for like sculpting and modeling and like animation. Like things become much easier when everything is quads. And it's just good practice to have mostly quads. And yeah. Okay, and then click to make that menu go away. I'm not sure where to go from here. Okay, so there's a bunch of options. Oh wait, no, I know what I should. Okay, so the next most important controls after navigation are the move, rotate, and scale commands. And yeah, like if I hit G, it'll automatically grab this and it will move it like according to where your viewport is looking. Like it's moving it side to side according to what side to side is from this. Like it'll move on a plane that's parallel to the viewport plane, viewing plane, if that makes sense. Basically, the direction you're viewing determines the direction of movement. And if I click, it will confirm that move. Then there's this context menu that appears, and you can like change where it was moved. If you hold down shift, it will move it more slowly. That's important. I use that a lot, especially when I'm using a tablet. Oh yeah, so X is side to side, Y is back and forth, and Z is up and down. I have the ground plane on right now, which is useful for knowing where your directions are. Okay, and if I just move my viewport a little bit, and my viewport camera a little bit, and hit R, it'll rotate it on according to the normal of our viewing angle. A normal is just a perpendicular line just out of a surface or angle. Okay, so if you click, it'll confirm that you wanted it to be moved that way. And you can change the angle just like you could change the amounts with the move tool. And S is scale, which means you make it bigger and smaller. And again, you can hit shift to slow this down, or you can hold down control for it to snap certain amounts according to whatever the snap amount is set to. Now, about snapping. If you do G to move or grab and then hold down control, it'll snap. And if you hit R to rotate and hold down control, it'll snap to certain increments. Like, yeah, depending on what your snapping is set to. And yeah, if you turn on snapping up here, it'll just do everything according, well, it will do movement according to the snapping. It will not do rotation according to the snapping, and it will not do scaling according to the snapping, just because this is on. This only affects movement. There's different types of snapping, but I hardly ever, I mean, there's very specific use cases for a lot of these. Yeah. And proportional editing, I'll show you that later. Okay, this is important. The transform pivot is like, right now it's set to bounding box center. What does that mean? It means if you imagine a box, if you imagine a box, damn it. So if you imagine a box, oh damn, I can't draw or shit. Okay, if you hold down D and hit shift and hit shift, then I'll give you a bit of stabilization. But I also just need to like be more careful with my. So the bounding box center is the, you can tell that that is where it is rotating from. And if you change that, let me just hit Control Z a bunch of times to undo the drawing. Okay. If you change this like to 3D cursor, this is the 3D cursor. The 3D cursor is actually pretty important. If you hit shift and right click, you can move it. And since I have the pivot point set to that, now I can hit rotate and it'll rotate the sphere about the 3D cursor. And now when it comes to the 3D cursor, if you want to reset it back to 0, which is something I do constantly, you can hit Shift S and hit cursor to world origin. I love the pie menus. So Shift S for these commands. Mainly cursor to world origin. And if I change the pivot point to sometimes I have it set to median point, but that's pretty much the same as bounding box center and active element. Anyway, I'm going to just set this back to default. This is transform orientations. I'll explain that later. For now, let's go back to the grab, rotate, and scale tools. There's also the option to, this is the move gizmo. I don't really use this very much. And this is the rotate gizmo. And this is the scale gizmo. And this is all of them combined. And it has like an arrow to move things on the x-axis, an arrow to move things on the z-axis. Let me rotate a little bit, and an arrow to rotate on the y-axis. Okay. But I'm going to turn that off and just go back to selection up here and click to get rid of that menu. Okay, but the way I usually do it is I hit like G to move, G to grab, and then X, or then Y, or then Z. Or I hit rotate, and it's already rotating around the Z axis. And then you can rotate around the Y and X, damn it, X axes. So you can see how that works. And scale, so it's scaling to the Z axis. Now it's scaling in the X axis. And now it's scaling in the Y axis. So now I have this oval shape. A quad oval. Or a quad ellipsoid. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of this, and then I'm going to add another round cube. I keep accidentally hitting my caps lock instead of my... Alright, and some more about viewport navigation. If you, and I highly recommend using a computer or using a keyboard with a numpad, the rectangle of keys on the right that has like a square of numbers in it, like a numpad. You know what I mean. Uh, so yeah, I'm used to talking to people who know nothing about computers. So uh, I'm probably gonna over explain things sometimes. Um, so now if you hit one on the numpad, it'll go to the front view, and you can see it has this grid, and it automatically changed it to orthographic. Now when I rotate it, it goes back to perspective. But if I hit 5 on the numpad, it's orthographic. What is the difference between orthographic and perspective? Okay, in perspective, this length right here, from here to here, and this length right here that is parallel from here to here, this is bigger than this according to our vision and according to the viewport camera when it's in perspective. Further away things get smaller. The back of this cube is smaller than the front of the cube in terms of how we're from our perspective, even though they're actually the back and the front are the same size actually. But like to our perspective, smaller is everything further away is smaller, everything closer is bigger. That's all that means. Now if I hit 5 on the numpad, this is orthographic. Orthographic means I keep accidentally hitting that. Orthographic means this and this far away things do not get smaller. There is no perspective. That's what orthographic means. Now I'm going to hit Control Z and get rid of those. And I'm going to turn perspective back on. I prefer to do everything in perspective. Usually, unless it's like hard surface certain things. Sometimes when you're doing like man-made objects, orthographic can be useful because orthographic is kind of like how blueprints are. So like that's useful. But like for most things, most of the time, I leave it in perspective. Now, if you go to the front view with 1 on the numpad, and then you hit 5, then you're in front perspective view. So it's perspective and it's from the front. So like, yeah. Now 7 on the, wait. Yeah, 7 on the numpad makes you go to the top view. And 3 makes you go to the side view. Now, holding down Control and hitting 1 will take you to the back. Well, hitting, oh. Damn it. Okay. So basically, 1 front, Control 1 back, 3 right, Control 3. Okay, what's going on? Control 3 goes to the left. 7 goes to the top. Control 7 goes to the bottom. Okay? I hope that makes sense. I recommend you fuck around with that. You can also use the other 4 keys on the keyboard to do like hitting 6 and hitting 4 and hitting 2 and hitting 8. But usually I never use those ones. I only use the 1, the 7, and the 3. I'm not even sure what 9 does. Okay, I'm not sure what the point of that was. Alright, hitting 7. Yeah, hitting 9 does this. I'm not sure why. Yeah. And yeah, that's a lot of the controls. That's a lot of the viewport stuff, and like D for drawing, and then Control Z to get rid of that. I don't remember how to erase, but yeah. And okay, so the next thing is, remember how I turn on tab for pie menu? This is that pie menu. If you hit tab with that setting changed, then go into edit mode, Now to hit one of these, you just like move your mouse over to it and then let go of tab. Like I can go back to object mode. This was object mode, by the way. The mode where you add different objects and move them around and like parent them to each other and shit like that. Edit mode actually only goes with like one particular mesh. Like let me hit Shift A, mesh, cube again, G to move it, G to grab and move it. Now if I click on my round cube and hit edit mode, you'll notice that it shows all of the vertices, the points, the vertices of this, and the edges, the wireframe, the mesh. Yeah, it's called a mesh because if I go into wireframe, you can see it's literally just a mesh of quads making up this sphere. And if I had to hold down Z to do that. Z, wireframe, Z, solid. Uh, and yeah, now it's automatically set to vertex mode, but if I hit 2 or this button, it'll go to edge mode. And you can tell when I left click, I'm selecting edges. And if I hit 3 but if I hit 3 and not numpad 3, but like top 3, the 3 button above the letters on your keyboard, it'll go to face mode, so I can select faces. And yeah, and I'm going to go back to vertex mode with 1, and I'm going to, okay, so if I click on the vertex, it'll select it. And if I click on another vertex while holding shift, now shift and click adds. Control and click, control and click does pick shortest path. Uh, I'm not, I don't, okay. Oh, okay, I forgot that. See, I've been using other programs lately and I'm kind of relearning Blender. Now holding down shift adds, but holding down shift and clicking on one you already have selected takes it away. Very intuitive. And you often want to select, like, if I hit 3 and go back into face mode, it's like this, like this, like this. Okay, and now select this, like this, like this, like this. And now if I change, okay, I'm going to turn off snapping. I'm going to go to individual origins and hit E. Uh, okay, I'm actually just going to you know what? I'm just gonna select this. Well, first I'm gonna hit Control Z because I think I left that. I keep accidentally hitting Control S. Okay, I'm gonna keep hitting Control Z until I only have this selected. Okay, so if I have these selected, and then I hit E, E means extrude. This is extrusion. If I click on just this face and hit E, it does this. If I click on this one and hit E, it extrudes it like that. Now, do you see the blue line? That is actually the normal of the face you're extruding, and that is the direction. A normal is the line perpendicular to the face, if that makes sense. You're gonna have to know what normals are to do 3D stuff. That's just how it is. And if I click, it confirms the extrusion and how far it goes. If I hit E and hold down Shift, it'll slow it down so we have more precision. And if I hit Control, it'll be like units. It'll snap to units. And okay, so I'm gonna hold down Shift and left click. I'm gonna click this face. I'm gonna hit E to extrude and left click to confirm. Uh,
And yeah, okay. So I'm not going to get very deep into modeling, but I'm I will eventually, when I'm better at this, make some modeling tutorials. But I think this is a good tutorial to start with. If I hold down Tab and go to Object Mode, we'll be back in Object Mode. I left click the cube and hit X and it'll delete it. I left click this and hit X to delete it. Whoa, were there two of these here the whole time? That's funny. Oh, and here, also if you hit Shift D, it will duplicate objects and grab them automatically. And yeah, you can do all the same shit as when you do a normal grab and like all that. Okay, that's all for right now.